And welcome back to another episode of the 7th Puckcast. I'm Keith.
I'm Chris.
Today we're going to go over what each team is going to need to finish out the rest of the year to make the playoffs, or to just improve who they are.
Yeah, maybe for next year, what will help them make the playoffs, or very in the near future.
Yeah. We're just going to go over the Eastern Conference today?
Yep.
Okay. Do you want to start off from the topic?
Yeah, sure. We'll just start off with, well, relatively easy one, Washington. Right now they're on a tear, and it doesn't look like they need much of anything.
No.
But at the same time, I think if there's anywhere they might need to improve, it might be maybe a slightly faster defenseman.
Yeah, a little depth defenseman down there.
Just someone a little more speed, because their defense is good, but they're not the quickest bunch.
Yeah, they rely on a very potent offense.
Yeah, and just playing structurally sound defense. But, yeah, they don't have anyone that's really going to fly up the rink.
That's mostly because, they got the solid goaltending.
They got solid goaltending. They got depth forwards. They're ready to make a big playoff run.
They will.
Yeah.
Guess just next one, the Columbus Blue Jackets.
They're an interesting group because we saw that big winning streak, and now they've kind of come back down to earth. And I don't really know what it is that seems to, there's definitely just something that's missing. That chemistry that was there isn't quite clicking now.
They just seem a little undersized to me when you watch them.
Yeah, and they've always played kind of a big physical game, and now they almost don't have quite the size to do so.
Yeah, when they're playing some of the bigger teams, they're going to get pushed around, especially come playoff time.
Yeah, and especially come playoff time, I think the one problem is they have a lot of inexperience on that team. So maybe they're a team that could use a veteran player.
Maybe a bigger player. Maybe bring in that Jerome McGinley or something.
Shane Doan, Jerome McGinley.
Like the big guys who will throw their body.
Yeah, just a little veteran leadership in the locker room to just kind of get them prepared. But as far as the rest of their thing, they have good scoring up front. They have pretty good depth. Their defense is pretty good. And Bobrovsky's been good all season.
Yeah. Despite, as long as they don't have any injuries, I don't think they'll have a problem making a run in that come playoff time.
No, as long as Bobrovsky stays healthy, they can make a decent run at it, I think.
The Penguins. They're the defending Stanley Cup champions.
Not much changed from last year.
Yeah, they're right now, they're trying out different players on different lines. Like, they have, Connor Sheary and Brian Russ skating with Crosby.
Yeah.
But they know they made the playoffs. They're just testing to see what they have.
Yeah, and they're still winning games while they're just, tinkering with things. I think they do need a little bit more depth on defense. With Letang out now especially, he gets hurt a lot. They don't really have a very strong defense.
No, Ian Cole stepped it up pretty well, but
he stepped in very nicely, but
we just watched him take a slap shot to the knee, so who knows if he'll be hurt or not.
I hope not. Alimata, I always thought was going to be a bigger star than he's really become. I don't know whether his growth just really slowed and he still is that growing player.
Other than Letang, Letang was the offensive defenseman for that team. And that's what Alimata is.
Yeah, but he hasn't quite done it yet.
Yeah, he might be a piece that they could look at moving.
Yeah.
And I think he would do pretty well
Part
elsewhere.
of a package deal, I think. Yeah, another team. Even like a team like Edmonton might like to have him.
Yeah.
That might be a pretty good deal if they could work something out there. But then again with them, there's always the issue of the cap space. Because they have all their money invested into Crosby, Malkin, Kessel, and Fleury,
Letang.
Yeah. There's your 5 players that most of your salary's tied up.
Who knows? Maybe they'll end up moving Fleury with Alimata.
Yeah. Even a team like Calgary could be interested in that, to shore up their goaltending or...
Yeah, I think that wouldn't be too bad, because they can add that other defenseman.
Yeah, and I think that would work pretty well for them. I guess we can move on down now to the Rangers.
They're just a terrible team altogether.
Oh, shut up. I like the Rangers team right now. I like the way they're built. Lundqvist is starting to get back into his form the past week.
Yeah.
And I don't think goaltending's even any of an issue, because I think if Lundqvist falters, Ranta's going to be right there to pick him back up.
Especially if they make the playoffs and they see Lundqvist is kind of
has
faltering.
A bad game or two.
They have to be willing to put...
Yeah, they have to. Yeah, their coaching needs to be able to say, okay, sorry, Hank, but we need to, for the betterment of this team, play Ranta.
We just lost We're down 3 games. We're putting Ranta in.
And hope that it brings it.
Yeah.
They can bring it back. Forward depth, they have a lot of. They just need to stay healthy. It keeps going. When one comes back, another goes down.
But I mean, they have so much forward depth.
Yeah, it's insane. They're rolling all 4 lines, and they're getting production from all 4 lines. I mean, Grabner with 21 goals on the year, and I mean, he's playing like the 3rd line now. I mean, he could get bumped down to the 4th when Hayes comes back and they have their full lineup.
Yeah, I mean, you can't complain about a player who's considered a penalty kill specialist putting up 21 goals.
Yeah. I mean...
he was brought in for that reason.
Yeah, because they needed to up... Their penalty kill was bad last year, and it's gotten better this year, and now, he's also adding a lot of scoring. The only thing I think the Rangers really need is they need a little help on the back end.
It's a little inconsistent what they have going on.
Yeah, lately Dan Girardi's actually been pretty good. He's ever since like Stepan and Vigneault and everyone kind of called out the team and said like we need to be better. We need to play better in front of Lundqvist to give him a chance. He's actually answered the call and stepped up.
But I mean, it's Girardi. How long is that going to last?
How long is that going to last mentally to keep it at that pace, and how long is his body going to let him last? He might, if it starts wearing down again, who knows what's going to happen.
Like if they can move a couple pieces, maybe be that team that actually lands Kevin Shattenkirk, or even Cam Fowler. We've kind of forgotten to even talk about him, even in some of our trade talk episodes. Cam Fowler's name was mentioned. But with how well he's playing down there, I doubt they'll want to move him right now.
But they need to because of their salary cap problems. I think that's really the only area that they need to improve in is they need to get that defenseman.
If they make that big trade, bringing Shattenkirk, I mean, even if they only end up running like 3 lines, they're going to go really far in the playoffs.
Yeah. And even still, if the Rangers have to trade away 1 or 2 of their forwards, they still have plenty of depth to fill in for it. Even if they have to bring up Hrivik and, to play the rest of the year or someone like that on the 4th line or something, they'll be fine with that. That's not an issue.
The Flyers.
The Flyers, another interesting team who was streaking for a while and now has just been pretty terrible.
Streaking the other way. If they're inconsistent as a team.
Yeah, it's not like, okay, our goaltending's been bad, but our offense has picked it up.
No, it's like your points stop, and then your goalie's letting
no one's scoring, and they can't stop a beach ball. And I think that's really where the main problem lies for the Flyers is they don't have solid goaltending. Michael Norberth has had injury problems, which I think has affected his play this year, and Mason's just not the answer.
He showed pieces of brilliance.
Like last night against the Rangers, he's the reason the Flyers won. But then you look at the game prior and you're like, well, he's the reason they lost.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, you don't know what you're getting with him.
I think they have enough what they have now. They'll make it to the playoffs at least.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to go far.
They're going to get knocked out pretty early. If not get knocked out in the first.
One thing I've also noticed about Philly's game recently is every team that goes in and plays them, they're usually like whenever the Rangers played them, it was like, great, I wonder who's going to get hurt in this game tonight on the Rangers, because you knew when you went in to play the Flyers, it was going to be super physical, there were going to be fights, there was going to be just all this kind of aggression going on the rink. And since that streak ended, there's none of that. They played the Rangers, they played the Devils, they played the Islanders, they even played Boston, all teams that there's usually all this fighting and tenacity. It wasn't a single fight, they didn't do anything, there was no grinding, kind of dirty-ish plays, none of that at all. I just feel like their energy and their aggression has disappeared out of their game, and it's hurting them.
Yeah, I think once that physicality comes back, they'll probably go on another streak, but then it'll probably disappear.
Yeah, I mean, Radko Gudas hasn't even been suspended after the one they start the year.
He's played more than 3 games without an incident?
Yeah, it's I don't understand what's wrong with him. Anyway, moving down to the Islanders. They need a new GM. Now they need a new coach. And they have...
Their record shows much better than what they really are.
Yeah, I mean, I like Rice as a goaltender. I think he's, good. And he's good for what they need. So I don't think goaltending's the problem. And then Berube is going to be, getting some starts here and there and,
they're fine right at that point. They have what they need to make it competitive.
Their defense is okay. I mean, I like Boychuk.
Hammerdick.
What's his other?
Leddy?
Yeah, Nick Leddy. They're all good defensemen.
Yeah.
It's their forwards that's the issue. they have no depth. They have Tavares.
That's who they rely on for like everything they have.
Yeah, I mean, they brought in Andrew Ladd, who's done nothing.
Got rid of Okposo, which
they got rid of Okposo.
Like
which really
that one
hurt.
move alone is what's killing their entire season.
Yeah, and Franz Nielsen's gone.
Yeah,
and there's all these issues. They just don't have the depth at forward to make it anywhere. Moving down, Carolina.
Like when you watch them, they have a very, very good offense.
Yeah, their offense has become their strong suit.
Yeah,
they've done the rebuild, and now
Skinner's starting to look faster.
Yeah, they're finishing the rebuild, kind of in a sense, in maybe another year or two. Their defense is okay.
They have a few pieces. It's a little older.
Justin Falk's still their main defenseman.
Yeah. They have what, Hannafin?
Yeah.
No Hannafin, but I mean they still have Ron Hainsey.
Yeah, there's just.
But by the time that team's ready to be a consistent playoff team, Hainsey's going to be retired. So
yeah, and they'll have. I think they're going to see them go after more defensemen in the next draft.
Yeah,
I think that's really going to kind of be their main focus. Goaltending wise, they need help.
Cam Ward had one good year in his career.
Yeah, Cam Ward's been pretty bad for the past couple years. His numbers haven't been good. Granted, he hasn't had a good defense really in front of him, especially in the past years. They didn't have any offense to help him.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's just not the answer to being a playoff team anymore.
They don't have anyone in the weight.
Yeah, Eddie Lack hasn't really become anything.
Yeah, nothing special.
Like Michael Layton is their third string option right now, who's backing up Ward, and he hasn't been in the NHL in years.
Like I wouldn't be surprised if their draft this year was defense, goalie, defense.
Yeah, they need to do something there to try to solidify that, because Cam Ward's nearing the end.
He is.
I mean, they don't have much. He doesn't have much more left in the tank.
Unless he ends up being the backup, but then he is a really expensive backup.
Yeah, they basically would need to buy him out and re-sign him to a much lower deal or something like that.
I guess we'll go on to the New Jersey Corey Schneiders?
Yes, the New Jersey Corey Schneiders. Kind of similar to the Islanders in the fact that they have only one star player on offense in Taylor Hall. Although Miles Wood has shown he's got some skill. I think he's going to be good for them.
Yeah, Miles
and you got Travis Zajac, but he's even starting to get past his prime. And then after that, there's no depth on the offense.
No, Camilleri can't stay healthy.
Yeah, and he's inconsistent and streaky when he is healthy.
Like 13, that it's going to be a few years because of Schneider. They're always going to be somewhere in the talks.
Yeah, but the thing is with Camilleri too is like he always gets the hottest right before he gets hurt.
Yes.
Like when he all of a sudden puts up like 8 points in 5 games, he's about to get hurt. It's inevitable, and then he comes back and does nothing. So I mean, that's an issue there. Their defense, which used to always be the Devil's strong point, is terrible.
That's what they're going to have to work on come free agency, come the draft.
Yeah.
Just hope they get lucky and pull one of those mid-late rounders who's just ready.
Yeah, their defense is it's in such a bad state of affairs right now. There's no depth. I mean, Andy Green, I guess, is their best defenseman. You could call it that, and he's not that good of a defenseman.
Yeah, before they're ready to make any kind of push, he'll be gone.
Yeah, that whole defense needs to be gone, except for maybe Ben Lovejoy. You can hold on to him as a third pairing defenseman.
I like the only players they should really hold on to from the few seasons. Miles Wood, definitely. Taylor Hall.
Of course.
Even if you're a bad team, Hall will bring those fans in for you.
Yeah. And Schneider and Kincaid are holding up the goaltending really well, but I mean Schneider's numbers aren't great this year, but like we said, there's no defense.
I think when Kincaid's contract's up, it's probably going to be a Talbot situation. Some team's going to want to bring him in as their starter.
Yeah, and someone's going to, and they'll get probably some draft picks out of it, which they need.
They would not be anything bad with that.
No.
I guess moving on, we got Montreal Canadiens.
They're a hard team to figure out what it is they need. There's definitely something missing on the team.
They're like a better offensive, defensive Devils.
Yeah.
You rely on a goalie, but you have a few more offensive, defensive pieces.
Yeah, I think it really falls into they need some more depth on their offense.
Yeah.
They don't really have... They have a strong, Radilov's been good for them this year. Pacioretty's been great for them. And then there's like Galchenyuk and Gallagher who are kind of like, yeah, all right, whatever. You're a solid player, but they can't be.
They don't have anyone around them. It's like they're on their own line.
Yeah, they're kind of all on an island, and then after
Shaw's
that,
been good.
Yeah, he's been all right,
but he's not. I think he's.
But he's not there to be like a scorer. He's there to be the grinder, checker, and try to create offense and spark the team that way.
They're relying a lot on Shea Weber.
Yeah, that bomb from the point. And I mean, their defense is okay, but it's also old.
It is.
Yeah, they have a lot of older players, on there that, in a year or two they might not be.
It looks like they're kind of trying to make the push within the next 2-3 years.
Yeah, I think Price is really in their when Price is like still really in his prime. But then after that, by the time after the next 2 or 3 years, you're gonna have Weber getting older and declining.
Emelin getting older.
Andrei Markov will probably be retired by then.
Oh yeah.
Price will be good still, but I mean he won't be probably at the elite level that he's at right now.
Yeah. Got the Senators.
Senators, another team that needs maybe a little more scoring depth up front.
Honestly, I think they would have a much better record if Anderson wasn't doing the thing, working.
Anderson's supposed to be coming back soon, and he's supposed to finish the season, which I think is going to help them a lot.
Yes.
I hope. I mean, he hasn't played in such a long time that maybe he might come back a little rusty
he always
at
just
first.
Comes back and he's still one of the better goalies.
Condon's been, for a super cheap replacement, Condon's done great for them.
He has.
He's really held it together. And if Anderson ever needs to, emergency leave for a couple of days, they know they can put Condon back in.
Yes. He has a few shutouts already.
Yeah, and he'll be fine.
They just need depth.
And they need some of their top guys to get going a little bit more. Mark Stone hasn't had the power year.
Still a little bit better than the rest of the team going on.
Yeah, he is.
Like Bobby Ryan's not doing too much.
Hoffman's a
little quiet.
Yeah, a little quiet this year. But at the same time, they still have Erik Karlsson on the back end. And, I mean...
You're getting a point every time he's out there.
Yeah, and I think he overshadows the fact that they still do have a pretty good defense behind Karlsson.
Yes.
Cody Ceci is a solid defensive defenseman. They have... who's the one guy that hits everyone and everything in sight?
Borowiecki.
Yeah.
But other than hitting people, what does he do?
I mean, he strikes the fear of God into everyone that crosses the line. He finished a game earlier this year with 14 hits.
Yes.
That's pretty...
that really helped me fantasy.
Yeah, but, But they have they kind of a mixture of defensemen that can do a little bit of everything, which is good to have.
Yeah, it really
They have an
is.
offensive defenseman. They have the defensive defenseman. They have some guys that can move the puck, and then they have guys that can hit. It's a good, combined team effort on the back end.
The Toronto Maple Leafs, I think they're just too young right now.
Yeah, their record and the fact that they're probably going to make the playoffs, it's a great sign that, it's working up there and they're turning it around even faster than they thought.
And you're a playoff team.
But the thing is that they are so young, and come the playoffs
are completely different.
I think Austin Matthews will be able to handle himself fine, but I don't know about guys like Mitch Marner or William Nylander.
I see Kadri making some bad penalties come playoffs.
Yeah. I do like their team. I don't like their I like their offense. I'm not a big fan of their defense.
Yeah, there's a few questions. I mean, they got Martin Marchinen.
Marincin. Gardiner.
Yeah.
I mean, they have some solid pieces, but they don't really have a top defenseman. These would all be great second pairing defensemen. That's what they basically have, is a team of second pair defensemen.
But when you compare your first line and second line to another team's first line, you're just going to get dominated.
Yeah, and that's the main problem with
They're not going to stop some of the higher powered offenses in the league.
Yeah. Goaltending wise, though,
Frederick Anderson was a great pickup for him.
Yeah, I mean that deal's worked out great for them. Who knows who their backup is at this point? They still have Enroth, McElhaney, Sparks, and they had another guy I think start at some point too in there.
Yeah, I mean Anderson started slow for him, but when you look at his numbers now, he's one of the better goalies in the league.
Yeah, he's been really good of late. He's been shutting the door on a lot of teams. Even with that, maybe not super strong defense in front of him, he's standing tall and making some really great saves.
Other than Rask and Price, he probably would be in the All-Star game.
Yeah, if he wasn't in this, same division. Speaking of Rask, we
Boston.
Boston. Again, I think they may need to move on from Claude Julien. I think they need a coaching change. I think Claude Julien, if that happens, will be the coach of the Las Vegas Knights come next year.
I could see that happening there.
I think that's might be the possibility of the way it's going to go. They're just a team that's kind of in a weird situation where some of them are getting older, and then they have some really young talent too that's not quite ready yet.
Spooner and Pasternak are doing...
They need to improve on defense. They're another team that's been very rumored to be in on Shattenkirk and Fowler and basically any defenseman that could possibly be available.
For the past 3 years.
But they never seem to be able to land anyone.
They just, like, oh no, we want Chara as our line one.
Yeah, or it's, you got to be willing to give up something of value to get this player. And they're like, oh no, we won't give him up. We got to move something to get something. Like, you're not just going to, get some all-star defenseman for a 7th round draft.
You're not going to get Shattenkirk for
a 5th and a 7th.
Yeah.
Like, sorry, you got to sweeten the pot a little bit. And offensively, they have 2 strong lines, and then it kind of falls off the rails.
They can hold their own, but...
Yeah, but it's not anything you look at and go, like... We got to be careful of all 4 lines, or at least the top 9. Like, they can all score, they can all make plays. It's kind of we got to worry about Marchand.
They try to play like the old Boston Bruins where they were big and they had
mean,
there.
Yeah, and agitating and
we're bigger than you. We're just as fast.
Yeah. And they're not. I mean, Chara's older now. He's not fast at all anymore. Lucic is gone. Now it's just
Marchand's just out there.
Who's now scoring, which is great.
Put everybody around him.
Yeah. They need a little more offensive help, and they're going to have some holes to fill when those older players are gone, like Chara. So
yeah. But I mean, for this year, if they can step it back up,
and get that defenseman.
Yeah, they've got to bring in at least 1 or 2 players come trade deadline.
I like Torrey Krug. I think he's really good there too, though. Don't get me wrong, but
he's just not scoring yet.
He's getting assists all over the place, but he's not putting the puck in the back of the net. And yeah, they could use just another.
He's a little undersized too. Krug.
Yeah.
Okay.
Florida.
I don't like him.
I liked him last year, and then they went the totally wrong direction with their management, with their changing of the coach, letting some of their players go, and now this team doesn't have an identity, really.
No.
They need to figure out what it is that they're doing.
I like to have a piece here.
Yeah, one guy who'd be better suited for a defensive style system, one guy that would be better in an offensive style system.
Yeah.
One guy that'd be better for grinding, and it's just kind of like
the core of the team is set, but I mean, they're not going to do anything this year. Come free agency, they have to work that a little bit, pick up a player or two. But look at what they have. Don't just be like, oh, I like that guy. He had a good year.
That's what I feel like they did last year, is they were like, we like him, we're going to sign him. We like him, we're going to sign him. Like, ooh, I don't know if we want to re-sign him.
Instead of being like, oh, he doesn't really fit our system.
Yeah. It's like, oh, he was good, let's sign him.
He had really good numbers. Let's bring him in.
Yeah. There's just some disconnect there between where you're actually playing these people.
If they can refigure out their free agency come next year, they'll be a playoff team next year and go a round or two.
Yeah. I think Florida could be back in the playoffs next year.
Yeah. We'll see how long the goaltending can...
Yeah, that's the other issue, though, is Luongo's getting older, so they... I mean, Reimer hasn't had a good year either this year, just to back him up, too. I mean, that was the big thing. It was like, well, Reimer's been really good, so we'll sign him, and when we need to give Luongo a rest, we'll just put Reimer in. And it's not happening. Buffalo...
They're just getting hit with injury. It's hard to tell.
Something's lacking there. They need more defensive depth.
Yeah.
I think their goaltending's good.
Liner's good. He'll be good for the next few years.
Nielsen's a good backup.
Their offense. Good.
Needs a couple little tweaks.
But I mean,
maybe a little...
they're a young team, so they will get those tweaks from those other players.
And I think they can easily get out of free agency the pieces they need to fill that.
Will only get better.
Yeah.
Some of their older first-round picks will start
maturing
again. I think a couple more defensive pieces, and I think they'll be fine and come the future.
Yeah. Tampa Bay...
What happened?
I don't know what they need, because when you look at this team on paper, you would look at it and go, they have everything.
Yeah.
They have depth on forward, depth on defense, and 2 good starting goalies, yet they sit next to last in the Atlantic Division.
I think it's just they're too good.
Yeah. And Stamkos not being there is hurting.
It is.
But at the same time, even though last year he was out, the team still played great in his absence. This year he's out, and
there's not much coming from him.
Yeah, no one stepped up.
Like, I can't maybe try to trade a few of their pieces away.
I don't really think they should. I think, honestly, if they come back next year, maybe, new mindset, rejuvenized.
Yeah, come out with a new game plan.
Yeah, slight tweak here and there to their game plan. They'll be at the top of the league again next year.
Yeah.
The Red Wings, the last one we're going to go over...
It's going to be years before they're...
Yeah, they need a lot. They need to figure out their goaltending situation, because now they have 3 guys that could possibly start.
They have to find a defense.
Coro, Mrazek, Howard. Their defense is old, and those that aren't old aren't any good.
Yeah, by the time they're anywhere relevant again...
Yeah, they're going to be all retired. And their offense... They have a couple... They have Mantha, Athanasiou, and Larkin for the future, which is good.
They do look good.
But, Zetterberg's getting up there.
Yeah.
Tatar and Nyquist, they had one good year together. And since then, they don't do that much.
But I think it's also at the point, it's like, they're really good players, but you can't move them now because they're not doing anything. They're not worth anything.
Yeah.
You're not going to get more than a 4th-round pick probably for one of them.
Maybe a 3rd, yeah.
Yeah, a 3rd if someone's really willing to take a chance.
Yeah, there's just some issues there. They don't have any depth. They're kind of an aging team.
Yeah, they got to look into the draft.
Yeah. The playoff streak's over.
Free agency really won't help them.
No.
Because they're too spread out for free agency to help them.
Yeah.
They have to just take their draft picks, maybe draft a few of those younger players who didn't quite make it with other teams.
Yeah, but
showed the potential.
Yeah, and maybe even try to move a Nyquist or a Tatar or Abdelkader. See if you can just get, something.
Abdelkader's just hurt.
Yeah, but I mean, some team might want him for the playoff run. It might be willing to spend a little. Like I'm saying at the trade deadline this year, see if you can get a little extra out of them.
You could probably pull in a team that's looking like a Stanley Cup team. Probably get their 2nd round for them.
Yeah, that's someone like maybe in Montreal should be looking at.
Yeah, get that.
Add a little depth in there. Yeah,
even the Boston, get that big player.
Yeah, that would be a smart way to go for them. But all right, I think that just about does it for this week's episode.
The complete Eastern. If you have any questions, comments, feel free to leave them. Email us at 7thDPuckcast@gmail.com.
We'll be going over the Western Conference next week. Thanks for listening. Good night.